How's everybody doing? I'm just going to lean in here. Welcome to Hall D, the developer track. Before I introduce the next speaker, I'd like to share some just information that's useful for the event. Niantic Lounge is open all day, and then there's happy hour. Their hours are 3 to 5 in the Great American Ballroom and foyer, and the happy hour is 5:30 to 6:45 in the Mission City Ballroom, patio, and pretty much everywhere. Don't forget the Augie Awards and the XR Prize ceremony tonight from 7 to 8:15 p.m. in the Mission City Ballroom. And as always, you're encouraged to use the hashtag AWE2023 on your social media. And as a reminder, all sessions are recorded and will be made available for all in-person and virtual attendees on awe.live. So I'm very excited to introduce our next speaker. I'm very partial to CEOs and founders that can code, but this next speaker goes way beyond that. Having graduated from Columbia University with a Master's of Science from the School of Engineering and Applied Sciences, and writing a thesis on augmented reality guidance systems for endovascular surgery. He started out his career at NVIDIA and then went on to be the founder and CEO of a groundbreaking company in Echo 3D. Please welcome Alon Grinshpoon.
How's it going, everyone? So good to be here. Thank you so much. See some familiar faces here. Thanks for the introduction. I'm Alon from Echo. We are a cloud asset management for 3D assets. Super excited to talk to you today and share about our vision for how we bring cloud to the world of 3D, AR, VR. So I'm going to start by saying hello. As mentioned earlier, I'm Alon. I'm the founder of Echo 3D. Did my master's in computer science at Columbia University, undergrad in computer science, electrical engineering. So a certified nerd and a big believer in the kind of intersection between cloud and AR and VR. Now, a little bit about us. We have over 60,000 developers on our platform who are using Echo to build games and things for advertisements and training and data visualizations. And we've partnered with some of the most amazing companies that you actually see around the venue and around the expo hall. Companies like Unity and Intel and NVIDIA. So really, really great partners who are building amazing hardware and amazing software that integrates with our cloud solution. Now, the cool thing about 3D, and if you're in this conference, you're probably already drinking the same Kool-Aid that I am, but 3D content is everywhere. We're seeing it in gaming, things like Roblox or Fortnite. We're seeing it in AR and VR experiences, like for social or kind of try before you buy experiences in e-commerce. We're seeing insane conversions and insane traction if you are selling an asset and you have a way to kind of try it out in 3D before you actually buy it. Now, 3D content is everywhere, but some of you are developers here in the crowd probably know this, that building a 3D app is kind of hard. It's really hard to update your app. It's really hard to kind of build that process through a game engine or some native kind of language. And it's really, really hard, and that's a problem. Now, if you think about 2D applications, like what we consider the standard today, if you're building a kind of blog post or you're building a website, you can just drag and drop an image or a video, and that automatically appears on your web and mobile. So that's kind of a super simple solved problem. And if I'm in New York and you're in California and we're both watching an episode on Netflix, we automatically expect to get the best streaming experience. So that's basically what we did in Echo. We translated these concepts into 3D, allowing you to manage and deliver 3D data and get the best 3D streaming experience. And there's something really interesting about 3D content here. If you think about it, you as a developer, or you as even a user, you can't move a video or an image on a website. But for a 3D experience, there's this kind of bi-directional connection between the cloud and the content. If it's an avatar in a game, you need to know where the avatar is. If you're doing an e-commerce experience with the couch, it exists in the real space. So that kind of connection is really interesting in 3D content that doesn't exist in 2D. Basically, where is that content and how does it interact with the real world? Now, I'm going to dive into and do some kind of technical stuff because it's the developer track. I'm going to show a live demo, which, at a conference using a conference Wi-Fi, it's a risk. But basically, I'm going to show you how you can build applications really quickly. The kind of title for this talk is how to build applications in 5 simple steps. So I made a promise, and I'll show you how to do that. And today, we're basically going to upload some content, stream it to your phones live right now, and basically allow you to stream 3D content from the cloud to your devices. So that's our website, and you can always register for a free account and play around with it, or just follow what I'm doing right now to basically showcase that. We're going to do something that is kind of low code a little bit, so you'll be able to follow. Then I'll transition into a more kind of heavy demo. But the point is to show you how you can kind of leverage the cloud to send data on different platforms at the same time. So let's check it out. So after you register to our platform, you're going to see this screen right here on the left. This is basically our console. Here you can upload content super easily. And on the right is just my phone. So I'm going to start with something simple. I'm going to add some content to the cloud. So I'm going to click this button right here. And here you can upload your own GLB, FBX, USDZ files, any kind of file format out there we support. And we also have a collection of over 75,000 assets that you can use for free right here in this kind of built-in search engine. But let's start with something simple. I'm going to upload some content to the cloud. We're a New York-based company, so I'm going to throw in the Empire State Building. What happens right now is that we take that 3D model, we convert it, we compress it, we optimize it, we put it on different servers all over the world, so we'll be able to kind of easily stream to people's devices. And here it is. We have the Empire State Building right here in 3D, super easily. And our system already converted it to other file formats. So like you started with an OBJ, but bam, suddenly you have access to a GLB version, to a USDZ version, really simple. What I'm going to do right now, and I ask you to take out your phones and do it with me, scan this QR code. It will actually allow you to stream data. You don't have to install anything. It will just stream the Empire State Building from our cloud to your phones right now. No installation needed, no nothing. Again, as I promised you, you can build an app in 5 simple steps. So just uploading, scanning, and viewing really quickly. And there we are. We have the Empire State Building right here. You're seeing it through my phone. And hopefully you can see it on your devices as well. I'm going to click CNAR right here. There we go. Let's put it on. Hopefully, yeah. You can click CNAR, and basically that will allow you to kind of project the 3D asset to the environment around you. Camera recognizes the surface, and voila, how cool is that? The Empire State is here with us. I can walk around it, walk inside it. Maybe I'll take a screenshot just to make sure I have this as a memorabilia. Cool. So really simple. We were able just to upload something and automatically see it on our phones in real time. I see a lot of people scanning. This is great. Give me a thumbs up if you're able to see the Empire State Building. Perfect, love it. So how easy is that, right? You just uploaded a model and we're able to see it in real time. What you saw right now was an example of surface detection. The camera recognizes the floor and overlays that with kind of a 3D asset. You can also do it on an image, basically image tracking. You do it on your face. Let's see if that works. I'll scan that real quick. But the point is, again, you're able to use the content that you have to deploy applications really quickly. These are really simple demo apps. We'll show some more complex apps in a few, but that's kind of the easiest way, right? Literally 15 seconds or less, you're able to already create an app and share it with everyone. If it's through a QR code or through a link, super simple. There are other things that you can do here is, I mean, this is like a really simple web integration, but what we have here is other kind of integrations with Unity. Echo is a Unity verified solution. We have integrations with Unreal, Java, Swift, even Niantic has this cool Air SDK. And we actually launched a really special integration with Qualcomm Snapdragon that basically allows you to build applications like that to their devices, to their SDK. Because again, in our case, we just want to make sure that the content's on the cloud and you can update things remotely. So let's explore the console a bit more, see what we can do, and then transition to a more technical kind of Unity demo that allows you to bring assets from the cloud to Unity like we just did. We uploaded the assets to the cloud and brought it to your devices. Let's see how that works with a game engine. So what else we can do? We can actually manage a lot of 3D repositories, so you can have multiple collections of assets, show them and share them with different clients, with different partners, maybe with different team members. You can have basically people comment on kind of your assets and collaborate with them. You can add metadata. This is a really powerful tool. If you think about it, we don't have a state. Again, if you're looking at an image on a website, it's the same image for everyone. But it might be the case that in 3D, if I open the application in New York, I want to see the Empire State Building. But if I open the exact same application in San Francisco, I want to see the Golden Gate Bridge. So you can have that kind of dynamic data streaming through the cloud and decide how to create location-based experiences through metadata. Another cool feature that you can do is you can actually, maybe I'll show it here, you can actually edit assets right through Echo. Imagine that Christmas is coming up and you want to retexture all your assets to be green and red. You can do that inside the platform. That's a really, really powerful tool for developers. So you basically decouple the content creation and the software production. You can build an app that works and it's great, and then update the content dynamically as time goes by. Another cool thing that you can do is we saw the kind of web AR experience that you can generate. You can actually customize that really quickly by adding buttons. We have people doing that for marketing, so uploading, let's say, a 3D model of Sonic the Hedgehog, and then adding a button, buy tickets, or adding a link to a website. It's a really, really easy way and a no-code, low-code way to create cool experiences. You can add background and add like really, really cool functionalities. Another amazing value that you have from the cloud is having analytics. So you can understand where your users are coming from around the world. You can basically track where your users are coming from and what's the distribution of your content. If you have a lot of users in Austin, Texas, and suddenly you have an influx of kind of like basically usage on your app, you can hook up on a server in Austin and have the performance work much, much better. The same thing about like user tracking and insight. Let's say you're building an e-commerce app and you have two variants of an asset, a green couch and a red couch. You can actually see, oh, the green couch is being streamed more. It's the most popular model. And you can see all that in our dashboard. Another cool feature that we have under the hood is conversion compression. As we mentioned, it converts every file to like other file types. But another cool feature is disk compression. Sometimes you're uploading a really, really large digital twin or a really, really large 3D model. Echo is automatically able to compress that, create different variants of that model in different compression sizes, and that works seamlessly, literally with a click of a button, and you're able to kind of stream that and get different versions. That is a really powerful tool if you have different users in different locations. Imagine that you have users in a location when the internet isn't that good. You might want to send them a kind of lower resolution version so they'll be able to kind of stream it faster. The same way we just did it to everyone's phones. People here have Androids, people here have iOS devices. Automatically, our system was able to basically detect which version is which and deploy that type of content to the device. Before I move on to a more technical side, again, we have like a lot of kind of tutorials and a lot of kind of really cool open source examples of how you can use Echo to build applications for retail and shopping and data visualization and gaming. So kind of definitely explore that. And my favorite page is actually the inspiration page that is filled with amazing examples of like AR, VR, 3D gaming, of how people are kind of deploying Echo today to build really cool applications. Some notable ones, back in the day, we had this really cool art installation in Governors Island in New York that they built like an underwater kind of educational training tutorial for kids to basically be underwater using VR headsets. Another example is where NFTs were all the rage. We had people building NFT kind of marketplaces and having AR visualizations of those NFTs. Really, really cool. They did, I think, like 8 drops, all sold in 30 minutes, because suddenly you can try before you buy and figure out like how that NFT looks. Really, really cool examples, again, for medical usages and kind of a project that people build at hackathon. So definitely explore this page just to see what the industry is kind of gearing towards. If you're working in an industry that doesn't use 3D assets, why? Like really ask yourself, like, how can we inject like 3D content into our industry? 10 years ago, it wasn't obvious what you need a website, and now it's all the rage. Everyone has a website. If it's a blog or a kind of a web store, 5 years later, people ask, oh, what do you need a mobile app for? And then, today Lady Gaga has an app. So we have mobile like ride hailing, and we have like dating apps. Suddenly, it's obvious why everyone needs an app. And now we're in the stage where like AR, VR, Metaverse, and we have all these amazing kind of influx of software and hardware that, okay, now you need to kind of reinvent industries using 3D technology. So really look at that page to kind of get inspired. Now let's transition to a more technical part of the demo. Now that we've basically uploaded an asset and streamed it to your devices, I want to show you how you can stream that to a game engine and basically build like a fully fledged app using Echo. So this is Unity. It's a game engine that a lot of developers love to use. It's super, super simple, but does require some technical understanding. When you start your Unity project, you can start with literally an empty project. There's nothing here, just an empty VR scene. There's nothing here. All it has is our Unity SDK plugged in. And then if I just kind of plug in my SDK and my API key, so my project key, and press play, data will stream from the cloud to the game engine. So as opposed to what we had earlier that we basically streamed it to your phones, now I'm just streaming it to the game engine. Super, super simple. And we'll be able to see the Empire State Building, bam, appear out of thin air. This is a really, really cool example. This means that you can build a game that's really small and updates through the cloud. That means that your assets can be dynamically changed every single day, and you can also like push, kind of almost like push notifications to it. So imagine that, like, I want to animate the model. I forgot to animate it, and I want to do that now. Bam, I put some metadata, and automatically it starts spinning in real time. How cool is that? So real-time updates are basically being pushed from the cloud to your game, and it just works automatically. Let's say that we want to build like a digital city together. So let me throw in a few more models and create a cool city together. Let me move this away. Again, simple example. Through metadata, I'm able to basically generate apps and basically control the content that we have remotely. So check it out. There you go. Suddenly we have this really cool kind of virtual city being built through content that's coming in from the cloud. If I stop this application from running, everything disappears. How cool is that? We're not actually using the kind of memory of the, we're not storing everything in memory. It's basically, once I stop the application, everything disappears. But if I restart the app, everything will come back. What we have here is what we call a stateful CMS, a stateful content management system that remembers, basically based on this configuration, how your game was structured, and bam, everything kind of starts returning to the same state. We have the rotating building and the building next to it, and it's super, super easy. Cool. So here's another example of how you can build applications real quickly. Again, drag and drop, or through some minimal coding, you're able to generate applications and stream data directly towards them. This means, again, that your application will be much smaller, will be much more dynamic, and you have control on your content. You have control of how your application is doing, and you can monitor that through the analytics that we showed earlier. As I mentioned, so we also have like a bunch of other integrations, like the one that we just announced with Qualcomm, so definitely check it out. Come to our booth, 313, really at the kind of entrance of the expo, to see a lot of the kind of applications that our team has built. We have a phenomenal team that was able to basically build really, really compelling demos, and they'll be happy to show it to you all and give you some really cool company swag to basically show you how you can kind of build applications and deploy them on different devices. So we have a demo, for example, that you can upload, and then you see the same asset on the computer, on your Oculus headset, on another headset, and they're all kind of changing in real time, and you can publish, like, basically with one click to all of these devices at the same time. So as I mentioned, make sure to register. Again, we have a free tier that is really generous that you can kind of play around and do exactly what I just did during this demo. As I mentioned, our kind of bread and butter is to store, stream 3D content anywhere, anytime, across all these different platforms through really, really quick, kind of interesting integrations. One thing that's actually worth noting, maybe I'll show that too, everything you saw so far is also available through API. So everything you saw here that is like kind of a no-code version is also available just by using a few lines of code. So if you do want to kind of, if you're like a hardcore technical person and you want to also integrate that to an existing system that you have or an existing kind of content creation platform, you can easily do that. So let's recap a little bit and kind of review what we saw so far. That we saw that developers can choose any SDK, if it's Unity, if it's Unreal, if it's any kind of rendering platform. We saw how content creators need no technical skills. You can just drag and drop assets and automatically they appear across all these devices. And then we build, store, and deliver those assets to all these different platforms that we've played around with. We talked about how games today are really, really big and like apps are really, really hard to update. But with a solution like Echo, all these apps become much, much smaller and much, much easier to update because, again, you have that kind of power of the cloud that allows you to update content in real time and manage your content outside of the build itself. No more, late night pushes to the Google Play Store. As I mentioned, developers save time and money in building their application. Content creators need technical skills, and companies can basically scale their applications to enterprise level because suddenly you can send all data everywhere in different locations all at the same time. We talked about use cases. So we talked about things like shopping and tourism and ads and gaming and surgery and e-commerce. Definitely, again, as I mentioned, go to our inspiration page. It's on our website and the console to, again, get inspired by what people are building in 3D and how you can actually potentially inject 3D content into your industries. One of the coolest examples I talked to a banker once, and they were like, okay, it's not going to be relevant. Why would they want like some 3D assets? And I was talking to them, and we kind of brainstormed, okay, what's your biggest problem? And he said, we have this banking app, and all of our other competitors have the same app, and it sucks. And I was like, do you think that if you had a feature that you swipe left on the banking app, suddenly it instantiates a virtual ATM, do you think younger generations will love to use your banking app as opposed to another one? Because suddenly you have, all these bank branches are closing down, you can instantiate a virtual ATM to gamify transaction. What do you think? And he was blown away. So here's an example for a non-obvious use case like banking that can actually really, really benefit from something like, camera-based augmented reality. As I mentioned, we have over 60,000 developers on the platform, and please join this community and join the Slack as well to ask questions, to build applications. It's really, really amazing way for you to kind of come together with like-minded creators. We have some kind of success stories around companies who are building industrial models, things around NFTs, e-commerce. It's really, really great to hear. And as I mentioned, we're a verified solution with Unity. So if you're a Unity developer, rest assured that they already kind of tested our tech. A little bit more about our company, some Vanity Metrics. We won a bunch of awards, and we're backed with some of the most amazing investors in the country, like Qualcomm Ventures and Convoy Ventures and Techstars, Reimagine Ventures, Space Capital, and more. And we're there for any tech event. So if you see us, please say hello to our team. As I mentioned, we're at booth 313 at the entrance of the expo. Definitely come to grab some swag, say hello, see more kind of live demos, and play around with our tech. It's really, really great. And it will really be great to see kind of everyone and get your support. As I mentioned, don't forget to register. Again, there's a free tier that you can use, play around with it. Do a lot of the things I just did on your own and start building. This is the time to build. If you're not injecting 3D AR, VR into your industries, again, you're missing out. As you see in this conference, there's so many people who are working really, really hard to bring these devices to market and to bring these content and this content kind of type to your devices. So definitely, this is kind of the time to build, and it's the time to build to 3D. Thank you so much. If you want to, again, keep the kind of Empire State Building in your hearts, minds, and phones, you can just scan this QR code right now, and it will stream to your device. If you have any questions, we have 4 minutes for Q&A. So anyone who has a question, happy to answer it live. And thank you so much for being here.
Raise your hand, and I'll run the mic over if you have a question.
Yeah. Perfect. Yeah, over there.
This looks great. Thank you so much for presenting it.
Sure.
I use Babylon.js, WebGL on that. So could I download directly a GLB?
Yep, 1,000%. That's a great question. So here's an example of a rendering software like Babylon.js or other ones. They can automatically connect to Echo through an API, and you'll be able to download that GLB, put it there. And moreover, if you're building an app and you already deployed a Babylon.js app, again, tomorrow you want to swap out all the assets they use, you can do that on Echo. Or you can give it to the partner or the client that you've built the app for, and they can do that themselves. They don't have to talk to you anymore. But the point is, you build once, you deploy the app once, and that's it. You're ready to go, and you kind of always use those assets in Babylon.js.
And does the API have the ability, or the request API have the ability to say, I want this level of detail in that? Okay.
So you can say, I want this file as a GLB format. I want this file decimated by 35%, and then tomorrow you can say, I want it decimated by 36%, whatever works for you. Great question. The guy behind.
Do you include as well version control?
Oh, great question. Yes. So every asset, I'm actually going to jump back to the console to show you. Every asset, something that we kind of announced today, every asset has version control built in. Let me see if I can easily jump into that. Right here, you can actually go versions back. You can share the project with your team members, and they can kind of do that version control as well. If you have new version of the asset, you'll be able to kind of revert back or trigger kind of old versions to reinstantiate. Really, really great question. It's something that we've been working on a lot and kind of recently introduced, which is, again, very, very kind of powerful if you think about it. We understand version control for code, but for 3D assets that can kind of change dynamically or collaboratively, it's really, really important. That's a great question.
Right here.
Oh, yeah.
Gio, what are the limitations on the 3D objects themselves? We do a lot of work with GLBs, and we stream them into Unity.
Yeah.
I guess it depends upon the device, but I mean, what limitations do you have in terms
Oh,
of file
fantastic question.
size or
Yeah.
textures or any of that?
Yeah, so our pay plan have no limitations on the file size. That's kind of our bread and butter to make sure that you can upload like really, really large models and they'll work. We even have we worked with a company in Alaska that had like digital kind of scans of oil rigs and they were like 50 gigabytes large, like a single GLB file. And we're like, okay, how do I get this to your iOS device in like 15 seconds? And that's kind of our, again, like bread and butter, having those kind of compression and conversion optimization of assets and bringing that to the device. That's actually another feature that we introduced today. We call it the ultimate compression, that you can upload like really, really large files. We'll make sure that they're small enough, look really, really good, and get to your device in, again, less than 15 seconds. It's a great question. Yeah, over there.
This is the last. This will be
Okay,
the last one.
last question. Yeah, you have a minute to go. But I'll be around if anyone wants to say hello and ask more questions later.
Hi. Do you have any type of encryption, or everybody can download GLB files and textures, like in terms of?
Oh, fantastic question. No, so everything is really, really secure. You have full control of like the permissions for the assets and who can download what, who can view what. All the assets that you store on Echo are actually encrypted and anonymized. So we strip down like even the file names. We don't even know what you uploaded, and like it's basically replaced by gibberish and then decoded when you actually query the assets to get them back. And also, like, based on the architecture, like, the assets live in one kind of cloud service and all the metadata lives in another. So, like, it's very, very secure. Even if something gets exposed, they can't understand what's going on under the hood. Love it. Great question.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you so much, everyone.
Get another round of applause.